In 2001, BMW decided they'd had enough of watching Porsche dominate the American Le Mans Series GT2 class. Their answer wasn't just another tweak to the E46 M3, it was a radical move. A bespoke 4-liter V8 engine that no one expected dropped into a car that looked like an M3 but was anything but standard. With this powerhouse, BMW built just enough road cars, 10 to be exact, to slide through a loophole in the ALMS homologation rules, a number far short of what most would call a production run. The result? A season that would not only shake up the grid but also spark controversy, criticism, and a rule change that rewrote the future of GT racing. Porsche's grip on the American Le Mans Series GT2 class was absolute. With the 911 GT3 RSR, they built a machine that wasn't just fast, it was efficient, balanced, and nearly unbeatable in endurance racing. By 1999 and 2000, they had claimed 3 out of 4 titles in the GT class, tightening their grip on the series, crushing rivals at Sebring, Laguna Seca, and Road Atlanta. Their formula for success was clear, a car that could run hard for hours, lap after lap, with relentless consistency. For other teams, breaking into the winner's circle felt impossible. BMW was among those teams left in the shadows. Their E46 M3, celebrated for its naturally aspirated straight six on the street, simply didn't have the firepower to take on Porsche's flat six engineering in the heat of GT racing. The M3's engine was smooth and reliable, but it couldn't match the outright speed and endurance of the 911 GT3 RSR. The power deficit, combined with Porsche's knack for extracting every ounce of performance from their platform, left BMW struggling to keep up. It wasn't a matter of poor design. BMW's road cars were legends in their own right, but on the track the gap was clear. Inside BMW Motorsport, frustration grew. The team felt outclassed, not just by Porsche's car, but by a racing program that seemed to have solved every problem the series could throw at them. Fans and executives alike started to wonder if BMW's racing reputation was at risk. The results on paper didn't match the brand's image as a performance powerhouse, and the pressure to deliver a breakthrough mounted with every passing race. But incremental upgrades weren't going to cut it. BMW realized that if they wanted to challenge Porsche, they needed to do something bold, something that would force the competition to react. Instead of chasing after small gains, they looked for a way to leapfrog the entire field. That meant rethinking their approach to the M3 from the ground up. Building a car that could beat Porsche was only half the battle. BMW also had to navigate the strict homologation rules, making sure their new machine would be allowed to compete. The real challenge was just beginning, and it all came down to what BMW would put under the hood. BMW's answer came in the form of a purpose-built engine that would become infamous in racing circles, the P60B40 V8. This wasn't an evolution of their well-known inline-six, nor was it borrowed from any production model. The P60B40 was a clean-sheet design conceived purely to meet the demands of endurance racing and to give the M3 GTR a fighting chance against Porsche's dominance. BMW Motorsport's engineers set out to create something that would not just compete, but fundamentally change what was possible in the GT2 class. At first glance, calling it a 4-liter V8 might sound straightforward, but the P60B40 was anything but ordinary. It was a radical departure from BMW's established engine philosophy. The block and heads were cast from aluminum, keeping weight down and helping the car's balance. But the real secret was inside, a flat plane crankshaft, a feature more often seen in high-revving exotic cars than in BMW's lineup. This allowed for much faster revving and more efficient exhaust scavenging, which translated to a sharper throttle response and a high-pitched wail that stood out from the deeper rumble of traditional V8s. The engine also featured a dry sump lubrication system, ensuring consistent oil delivery even under the punishing lateral forces of endurance racing. These three elements, aluminum construction, flat plane crank, and dry sump lubrication, formed the backbone of the P60B40's competitive edge. Beyond these core features, the P60B40 included other advanced engineering touches. It used 4 overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and port fuel injection for precise fuel delivery. Each component was designed to withstand the stresses of long-distance racing, where reliability mattered just as much as outright speed. Compared to the E46 M3's inline-six, the P60B40 was lighter, more compact, and able to sit lower in the chassis for better handling. This wasn't just a power upgrade, it was a total rethink of what an M3 could be. On the track, the results were immediate. In race trim, the P60B40 produced 444 horsepower, a significant leap over the standard M3's output and a clear shot across Porsche's bow. The torque curve was broad and accessible, letting drivers accelerate aggressively out of corners and sustain high speeds on long straights. The engine's responsiveness made the M3 GTR feel agile and alive, especially in the tight, technical sections of American Le Mans Series circuits. The combination of power, lightweight construction, and sharp handling meant the car could maintain a relentless pace over the course of a grueling race. The P60B40's flat-plane crankshaft didn't just contribute to performance, it gave the M3 GTR a voice all its own. The engine's high-pitched note was instantly recognizable, cutting through the noise of the paddock and making it easy to pick out the BMW on any lap. Fans and competitors alike commented on how the car sounded more like a Le Mans prototype than a production-based GT racer. For many, the sound became as much a part of the M3 GTR's identity as its speed. Building such an engine came with a price. The P60B40 was a bespoke motorsport-only project with no direct counterpart in BMW's road car lineup. That meant BMW had to invest heavily in research, development, and manufacturing, all for an engine that would see limited use. Unlike Porsche, who could point to their GT3 road cars as the basis for their race engines, BMW was taking a much riskier approach. The gamble was that the payoff on the track would be worth the cost and controversy. The engineering behind the P60B40 showed what was possible when a manufacturer committed fully to the pursuit of victory, even if it meant taking the road less traveled. Every aspect of the engine was designed for a single purpose: to win races. The payoff was immediate, with the M3 GTR racking up 7 wins in 10 races during the 2001 American Le Mans Series season. Its dominance forced everyone, fans, rivals, and rulemakers alike, to reconsider what it meant to build a GT car. But building a world-beating engine and car was only half the story. Making it legal for the road, even in the most limited sense, brought its own set of challenges and controversies. BMW's solution to the homologation requirement would become almost as legendary as the P60B40 itself. For BMW, the key to competing in the American Le Mans Series was navigating the homologation loophole, a set of rules that required manufacturers to build a minimum number of road-legal versions of their race cars. The intent was to ensure that what raced on Sunday could, at least in theory, be bought and driven on Monday. But with the M3 GTR, BMW approached this requirement with a mindset that prioritized compliance over practicality. For the M3 GTR, BMW needed to produce at least 10 street versions, known as the Strassenversion, to meet the letter of the law. But there was a catch. The P60B40 in the road car had to be detuned to 380 horsepower. A noticeable drop from the 444 horses unleashed on the track. Even so, the Strassenversion's performance far outstripped any other E46 M3, making it a unicorn among BMWs. The Strassenversion ticked the necessary boxes. It used the same 4-liter P60B40 V8 as the race car, and its construction leaned heavily on lightweight carbon fiber parts. But the similarities to a typical road car stopped there. At a price of €250,000, about $262,500 at the time, it was clear this wasn't meant for the average driver. Only 10 units were ever built, just enough to meet the American Le Mans Series minimum modifications to pass basic road regulations. Inside, comfort was an afterthought. No air conditioning, no radio, and no rear seats. Instead, the focus was on performance, with Recaro racing seats and the bare essentials. The Strassenversion was effectively a race car barely adapted for public roads, existing only to keep the GTR legal. The decision to create the P60B40 and the M3 GTR Strassenversion was a statement of intent from BMW Motorsport. They were willing to challenge the established order, even if it meant pushing the boundaries of what the rules allowed. The P60B40 wasn't just an engine, it was a signal that BMW would do whatever it took to win, even if it meant upsetting rivals and rewriting expectations. That attitude made the M3 GTR both a hero and a villain, depending on who you asked. And controversy followed quickly. This strategy drew immediate criticism from rivals, especially Porsche. They argued that BMW's approach violated the spirit of the rules. While Porsche's 911 GT3 RS was a genuine production car, the M3 GTR Strassenversion felt like a technicality, a detuned race car with just enough modifications to pass inspection. The fact that the V8 engine was unique to the GTR and not available in any mass-market M3 only fueled the debate. For many, it looked like BMW had found a shortcut, meeting the letter of the law but sidestepping its intent. The controversy didn't go unnoticed by ALMS officials. In response to the uproar, the series organizers moved quickly to tighten the rules for the 2002 season. The new requirements were a massive leap. Instead of 10 road cars, manufacturers now had to build at least 100 and produce 1,000 engines based on production models. This change made it impossible for BMW to continue with the M3 GTR, as creating 100 street-legal cars with a bespoke V8 wasn't economically viable. The rule shift forced BMW to withdraw the GTR from American Le Mans Series competition, ending its run after just one season. BMW's approach to the 2001 season American Le Mans Series was straightforward. Show up with a car that could outpace, outlast, and outthink every rival on the grid. The M3 GTR delivered on that promise. Right from the opening race, it set a pace that left the competition struggling to keep up. Over the course of 10 races, the M3 GTR claimed victory in 7, including impressive back-to-back winning streaks that made it clear this was no fluke. The car's consistency over the season, not just a few lucky weekends, set a new standard for dominance in the GT2 class. A big part of this success came down to the team behind the wheel. Jörg Müller, who would go on to clinch the GT2 Drivers' Championship, and Hans Stuck pushed the GTR to its limits, extracting every bit of performance from the V8. The car's 4-liter engine gave it a clear advantage on the straights, but it was the way the drivers managed the car's speed and reliability over long stints that really separated BMW from the rest. The GTR didn't just win races by sheer speed, it maintained a relentless pace throughout each event, rarely faltering even under the pressure of endurance racing. The impact on the paddock was immediate. Porsche, long the benchmark in GT racing, suddenly found themselves on the defensive. Their 911 GT3R, with its reputation for balance and handling, was forced to play catch-up. Race after race, the M3 GTR's raw power and innovative engineering seemed to neutralize any advantage Porsche could muster. The rivalry between the two teams added extra tension to every event, with each victory for BMW fueling more debate about what was fair and what crossed the line. Despite controversy, the performance on track was undeniable. They were a testament to what happens when a team pushes the boundaries of what's possible, both in engineering and in strategy. The season became a showcase for innovation, determination, and the sometimes blurry line between clever interpretation of the rules and outright rule bending. The story of the M3 GTR didn't end when the checkered flag fell on the 2001 season. Its impact would ripple far beyond the racetrack, shaping how fans and future engineers saw BMW and leaving a legacy that only grew stronger in the years that followed. Some cars never truly disappear. The BMW M3 GTR became more than a race winner. It turned into a reference point for what happens when a manufacturer refuses to accept limits. Its short stint on the track sparked a wave of influence inside BMW, pushing the brand's motorsport division to rethink what was possible. The car's engineering, lightweight materials, aggressive aerodynamics, and a purpose-built V8 helped set the blueprint for future M models and endurance racers. Even without a return to racing, the GTR's DNA ran through later icons like the M3 CSL, which borrowed its focus on weight reduction and sharp handling. The lesson was clear. Sometimes taking risks in engineering can change a company's direction for years. But the M3 GTR's reach was never limited to motorsport insiders or BMW loyalists. It found a second life in a place few expected: the world of video games. In 2005, Need for Speed, Most Wanted vaulted the GTR into pop culture, making it the hero car for a generation. For millions of players, this was their introduction to a car that had only existed in a handful of road-going versions and a single season of racing. The game didn't just use the M3 GTR as window dressing, it put the car front and center, making it the protagonist's lost treasure and the ultimate prize to reclaim. Suddenly, the M3 GTR was everywhere. Its distinctive livery and silhouette burned into the memory of anyone who picked up a controller. The impact was immediate and lasting. Gamers who might never have heard of homologation loopholes or the American Le Mans Series now knew the GTR as an icon. The car's reputation grew beyond its real-world stats. It became the symbol of speed, rebellion, and unattainable cool. Every time players raced through the city streets of Most Wanted, the M3 GTR's presence was more than visual. It was emotional. The virtual performance of the car, from its razor-sharp handling to the aggressive high-pitched exhaust note, built a bond between player and machine. It wasn't about technical specs or racing history anymore. It was about how the car made you feel as you chased down rivals or escaped the police. That emotional connection turned the GTR into something more than a digital model. It became a goal, a legend, a reason to keep playing. The livery itself, a striking combination of silver, blue, and dark gray, became instantly recognizable. It's been recreated endlessly, from fan-made replicas and die-cast models to tribute wraps in later racing games. But the real hook was how the game let players experience the GTR's attitude. Even those who didn't know much about BMWs or racing felt the rush of piloting something rare and powerful. The car's digital persona, shaped by the game's sound design and visual flair, left a mark that no marketing campaign could match. This kind of cultural crossover is rare for any car, let alone one with such a brief real-world career. The M3 GTR story became a bridge between racing enthusiasts and a new generation of fans who discovered it through pixels rather than pit lanes. The game's popularity meant the GTR reached living rooms and bedrooms across the globe, giving it a legacy that outlasted many of its contemporaries. Later racing games would pay tribute, offering special liveries or nods to the GTR's most wanted fame, but none matched the original's impact. Today, the M3 GTR continues to inspire. Engineers look back at its innovations when designing new performance models. Fans keep its memory alive through art, replica builds, and online communities. For many, the emotional connection formed through games like Most Wanted is just as powerful as any real-world race win. The car's influence has outlasted its competition days, showing that sometimes the right mix of controversy, innovation, and cultural exposure can create a legend. The BMW M3 GTR stands as a reminder of how far innovation can push the boundaries of motorsport. With its bespoke V8 and clever approach to homologation, it didn't just win races, it changed the rules. The car's legacy is built on that fine line between performance and regulation, where every bold idea faces scrutiny and every advantage invites controversy. History remembers the M3 GTR for forcing the sport to evolve. Let us know your favorite BMW rule breaker in the comments below. And as you think back on that V8 revolution, consider what other legends rewrote the playbook in their own way.